Hey you guys, it's your girl T. So I want to come on here and do an update about this story. As you guys all know, Kevin Dukes did the initial story on my website on lovelyt.com, and I've been following this story very, very closely. It's about 3 young boys. The youngest is 12-year-old Jarrell Milton, and at that point in time on Monday when we initially posted the story, this young boy was on the run. Police had caught his brother, he's 17-year-old Jamymell Milton, and they also caught their friend, 15-year-old Shantavius Prime Willis. So what happened is that back on June 29th, these young boys, they were drug dealers. So what happened is that 2 30-year-old men went to the park to go meet them to go buy some drugs. One of those men was Jamymell Ray, the other one was Charles Fisher. And I don't know what happened during the transaction or if these kids were just trying to rob them of their money, but somebody pulled out a gun and they ended up shooting and killing Jamymell Ray. Charles Fisher was also shot, but he later on survived and he was able to identify the kids. So then what happened is that after the shooting went down, the boys, they ran out. They were on the run for a bit. The 2 older boys were caught, but the 12-year-old ended up getting caught this week in Minneapolis. So some way, somehow, he found his way down to Minneapolis. That's where their biological father was living at the time, so they have ties to Minneapolis. This whole situation is just so damn disturbing. I want you guys to go ahead and check out this news clip, and I'm going to come back with the rest of my commentary.
Murder suspects, 1 is still on the run.
He is just 12 years old. Today, the 2 already under arrest appeared in court, and WOWT 6 News' John Chapman was there.
The 2 juvenile suspects will wait behind bars until their trial. No bond for 17-year-old Jarrell Milton and 15-year-old Shantavius Prime Willis, both charged with first-degree murder. The news was almost too much for the family of Shantavius Willis to take. Prosecutors say they have collected evidence against the teenagers.
All 3 had firearms, and there were shell casings from 2 different types of guns there at the scene. So there were more than 1 shot was fired.
Police have recovered 2 firearms they believe to be connected to the murder.
These young people getting guns, not being supervised. I'm just curious as far as where was any supervision with regard to any parents or other individuals who are responsible for these young people.
17-year-old Jarrell Milton stood alone in court today. No parents to stand by his side. Police are still investigating the shooting that took 1 life and injured another man. Prosecutors say they expect to have the other suspect, 12-year-old Jarrell Milton, in custody in the near future.
A week and a half after a deadly shooting, but just hours after a tip to police, a 12-year-old murder suspect is in custody tonight.
Locally live at 5, 2 teens and a 12-year-old boy stand accused of shooting 2 men, killing 1.
Additional task force has been working to find him, and Tuesday night they tracked him down.
And Mallory, the picture of a 12-year-old fugitive stunned Omaha and the nation. And last night, Jarrell Milton was caught hundreds of miles away in Minneapolis after an intensive search to bring the boy back.
He is definitely the youngest suspect that we've seen for this type of crime.
At 12 years old, Jarrell Milton was the highest priority fugitive for U.S. Marshals in Omaha, according to Supervisory Deputy Chris White. For a veteran marshal, it is shocking even to him.
His picture is especially shocking. He looks like a 12-year-old, and it's hard to believe that he could kill somebody.
Milton, his older brother, Jamymell Milton, and Shantavius Prime Willis are accused of shooting and killing Jamymell Ray and wounding Chris Fisher. Jamar and Prime Willis are both teens. They are in jail and were denied bond Tuesday, but Milton has been on the run since June 29th. A fugitive task force of U.S. Marshals and local law enforcement have been working around the clock, gathering information about the preteen's connections.
Deputy White tells me after the fugitive task force in Omaha got several tips that Milton could be in Minneapolis with family or friends, they immediately informed marshals there. That was 8:30 on Tuesday night. By 11:30, he was arrested.
Near a house that we had previously identified might be associated with him.
Authorities tell us Milton did not put up a fight. They're still investigating how he got to Minneapolis, but Deputy White tells me he may have been staying with family. His father, Jarrell Milton, is from there, but he's now serving a life sentence for first-degree murder, convicted of shooting and killing his cousin, according to court documents, in a drug deal gone wrong. Now 2 of his sons face the same fate.
Jarrell Milton ran to other family members in Minnesota once he left here. Now, those family members tell us that they didn't know what had happened, so they actually harbored the 12-year-old.
The boy is afraid. He's scared. And he kind of looked like he was just dazed, like he ain't there. He's a baby. He's a baby in a messed up world.
12-year-old Jarrell Milton made his way to Minneapolis. He made his way to family. We talked to his aunt on the phone. Diane Moss saw Jarrell the day before police picked him up. She tells us Jarrell, his siblings, and their mother are victims and have been for a long time.
You know, they want to point the finger at the mother who was a baby, having 7 kids stair-step practically by herself. Overwhelmed, tired. The system failed her. She grew up in a neighborhood that was infested with drugs and crime, and that's all they grew up around all that. They never had a chance.
This is video you will only see on 6 News, exclusive video showing Jarrell Milton arriving at Omaha Police Headquarters at around 3 o'clock this afternoon, accompanied by 3 officers from Omaha's Fugitive Task Force. Jarrell was sitting in the back seat of an unmarked silver sedan. I got a good look at Jarrell as he was looking out the window, and his face was expressionless.
All right, so you guys just watched the news clip, and so many things bother me with this story. Even yesterday, I was showing my boys. I was telling them about this story, and I showed my youngest son this young boy's mugshot behind me. And the first thing my youngest said is, he looks just like me. He don't even look 12. He looks like he's 9 years old. Me and him look like we're the same age. I mean, to know that a 12-year-old boy helped to take somebody's life is not only heartbreaking, but to see a 12-year-old boy, sitting there, and now it's been announced today that they're going to charge this 12-year-old child as an adult. He is looking at serious time in prison. This is just really, really heart-wrenching. And a lot of people are making fun of their names and being ignorant and saying, with names like that, they never had a chance. I don't know what it is with people, especially black folks, feeling like they can just make fun of somebody's name. I don't understand what makes a Jarrell any worse than somebody named John. There's all types of people in prison right now as we speak who have so-called normal first and last names, and they're still sitting in prison. It's not about a name, because my name is very unique. My name is African. I got made fun of all the time growing up for my name. So I hate when people feel like they see a name and it's automatically deemed ghetto because it's not some Eurocentric name. The kids did not fail in life because of what their parents named them. The reason why these kids failed in life because there was nobody there to guide them. Their father is currently doing life in prison for a murder himself, okay? Their mother went to prison when these kids were toddlers. The mother went to prison on felony assault. She was a mother of 7, and all these kids got split up and they went into foster care. So these kids had no guidance. They're basically walking down the same footsteps as their parents. Both their parents are locked up, and now these kids are all looking at life in prison. This situation is just heart-wrenching when you see children as young as 12 engaging in this type of activity. And I can bet you anything, I can bet you any money was the older brother, the 17-year-old, who plotted all of this, and he brought his younger brother and his best friend with him, and now he has them in just as much trouble as he is. I really, really doubt that it was a 12-year-old who pulled the trigger. And this is why I was telling my boys that, especially my oldest son, you have to be a positive role model for your younger brother. Because as a younger sibling, you look up to your older sibling. Siblings tend to look more to their brothers and sisters than even their own parents. So I had to really reiterate to my son, you have to do the right thing. You have to stay on track because you have a 9-year-old brother who's watching your every move, who wants to be just like you. And I feel like this was the case here. He wanted to be like his older brother. He was probably happy to be able to tag along with his older brother. And now this young boy done got caught up in a murder because of his older brother. And that has to make the older brother feel like shit, that your 12-year-old brother is not looking at life in prison. This child ain't number 12 years old, and he's looking at more time than he's lived. I mean, just to look at his mugshot just broke my heart. And the fact that these kids would, one, be out there selling drugs, it's almost like, well, who was their guardian? You know what I'm saying? Who is watching these kids? Because it's obvious somebody has to be feeding and clothing this 12-year-old. Where were the, we know the parents are in jail, but where were the guardians? Why are these kids just so allowed? Why are these kids freely allowed to be out here selling drugs and doing dirt at the park? So this whole situation, there's no winners here to me. Now you have 3 young people whose lives have been changed forever, and especially that 12-year-old Jarrell Milton. Like I said, a lot of people failed them. It's not about the names of these children, it's about the adults in these children's lives who have failed them. The mother having kid after kid, knowing that she couldn't even take care of the first 2 that she had, she still chose to have more children. And then the father not being able to handle his emotions, not being in these kids' lives, and now the father done killed somebody, he's sitting in prison for the rest of his life. So it's really, really sad that these kids, instead of, looking at their parents' mistakes and saying, I don't want to be nothing like my mom and dad, they ended up falling for the same traps that their parents fell in. So, I mean, there's no winners in this situation. This case is just simply heartbreaking when I see kids looking at this much time, something so stupid and petty as a drug deal. So anyways, you guys, go ahead and leave a comment. Let's get the discussion popping. How do you feel about this entire case when you heard about it? How do you feel about them now stating that they're going to charge Jarrell Milton as an adult? And do you feel like this is a case of where the younger brother was basically following the older brother, and that the younger brother, you know, possibly didn't even have nothing to do with the murder, but because he was there, he's going to be charged as well? So let's go ahead and get the discussion popping. Go ahead and leave a comment. All right, deuces.
Hey YouTube, it's your girl Lovely T, and you can show me some love by hitting that subscribe button, watching my previous videos, and following me on social media.